Well, there are so many great organizations out there truly making a difference out and about in the community. One particular organization that truly deserves recognition is Boy Scout Troop 181 from Downers Grove, Illinois. Troop 181 really gives so much to the community. It is just sheer heartwarming. And another awesome act of kindness brings us to our next segment. On Valentine's Day 2008, the boys of Boy Scout Troop 181 were really showing their love for our brave troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. On February 14, 2008, at the Downers Grove VFW Post 503, Boy Scout Troop 181, which is actually sponsored by the Downers Grove VFW, were making special neck coolers. These neck coolers would greatly help our brave men and women survive in the hot desert. All these neck coolers, when completed, will be sent to Iraq and Afghanistan, to our brave members of our armed forces. The process of making these neck coolers is just awesome to see. Measuring, cutting, and ironing of the material was done by many kids in Troop 181. Everyone was so psyched about helping out. All these kids could be found buzzing around each of the 4 stations, all wanting to do their part. These kids just seemed thrilled to pieces to be a part of this awesome project. First, material for the neck coolers is measured and marked. Then the material is cut very carefully, and then the material is ironed. Then these neck coolers were taken to DuPage Sew and Vac in Lisle, Illinois, where the material will be sewn up and special cooling beads are added, and then will be ready to ship to Iraq and Afghanistan. John Meek, Scoutmaster for Boy Scout Troop 181, tells us how this project all got started.
Well, like I said, young Mr. Steichman was driving down a street, and they were in a store someplace, I forget, and they saw these neck coolers, and he said what a great idea it would be to send these to the troops over there in such a hot area. They tried making one up, it worked pretty well, and now they're in production of making over 100 to send over there.
Wow, that's great. Now, a lot of the supplies that you got here were these things that were donated or the troop had to purchase?
Some stuff the troop purchased and some were donated. The place next Thursday where we're going to work, DuPage Sew and Vac, is donating all the machines, all the thread, all the places to work on them.
That enterprising young man John spoke about is Nick Steichman. Nick was the one that brought the idea to the troop. He tells us more about what Troop 181 was doing tonight and tells us about the stations and the work being done at each area.
Alright, well, tonight we are assembling and cutting out neck coolers that we are going to send over to the troops in Afghanistan. And our goal is to make 100 or more neck coolers. And so we've got a scout who will send them over, and then they'll be able to use them just for cooling off over in Iraq and Afghanistan, over in the wars.
Right, and we want to look at all the good things you're doing. Now, this table isn't here, it was, and this was the first part of it. I guess you were making up tags. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we had tags that mentioned everyone who'd helped throughout all of our project, and we were saying that you could send letters of thank yous or questions or comments to us, and just thanking them for all they're doing.
Okay, and we want to now, is this the first best place to start then, right here, or is this the first part of the process, or
would have been right there, where we are setting up, making easily cut squares, where we would just cut the fabric, and then we would send it over to that station, in which you would cut it into 4.5-inch sections, so we could send them over and they're the right size. And then you would bring them over here where we are ironing them to make them easily sewn for sewing when we sew them together and send them over, so they're easily folded and just rest of that stuff.
Okay, that's great. And now we want to mention that you're doing this tonight, and I understand you were going to do this one other night then, or?
Yeah, this is part 1 of our project, and next the next step is we will go to DuPage Sewing-Vac in Lisle, and we're going to sew the neck coolers and like fill them up, and then we'll have it all ready to go over to Afghanistan.
John Meek, Scoutmaster for Boy Scout Troop 181, tells us about some of the other projects and awesome community service their troop does.
They do pads at a couple of local churches. That's where they set up bedding for the homeless people at night. We work at the Community Rec Center. We do flag ceremony for them. We go to Heinz Hospital, and the first week in June, we push the vets around for the Special Olympics. We have them coming out February 23rd to a spaghetti dinner we do. Last year we gave Heinz Hospital Special Olympics team $2,000 towards sending their guys out to Vail, Colorado. There are so many things these kids do. Our troop and our council booked more service hours last year than any of the other troops combined.
Again, another great project for Boy Scout Troop 181, making a difference in the community and around the world.